All right, hi everyone. Welcome to my first new video on my channel that's now going to be focused on college sports, mainly just college football. And I kind of wanted to just make this video to sort of talk about my I guess history with college sports and college football, how I got into it, um, and what I hope to do with it more in the future. And I kind of wanted to use this as just like a first step in this channel to see how this goes, because I do have some other um, beginning projects I want to do. I have a preseason top 25 that's almost done, but I kind of just need to add some like finishing touches to it, and I want to do some other stuff, maybe like what ifs, conference title game scenarios, schedule predictions, all that stuff. And yeah, I just want to sort of just do that stuff in the future. So if you like this video about my background in college sports, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the future. So I want to start this off by letting um, so I want to sort of set the scene and pretty much want to go back to when I was pretty much little. My family and I grew up as diehard St. Louis Cardinals fans to the point where I still vividly remember going to my first ever game. I think it was at the new Busch Stadium, the 2.0 that was made like in 2006. They were playing against the Pirates, and my seats were pretty high up, but I think that was like one of the few other games that I went to as a kid. I do remember the night they won the 2011 World Series. I was at like a trunk or treat party with some friends when I was in elementary school, like just down the street. But I never really paid attention to the Cardinals. I never really followed like major league sports as a kid. I really only paid attention to what's it like the major games like the Super Bowl, the World Series, maybe like the NBA Finals. I wasn't a big basketball person. But fast forward to, I'd say, gosh, I'm trying to think. Fast forward to, I think, was like Christmas of 2012 when I first got a Wii U. And one of the games that I got with it was Madden 13, because my older brother Logan was obviously a big football person, and so was my dad, because back then we had the St. Louis Rams before they went to LA. So that was sort of just my first real production to I guess the NFL through that way. I liked the game so much. I pretty much kind of learned the basics of like football in general, like first downs and stuff. I didn't really get like penalties, but also my brothers Logan and Nick. I'm a middle brother, by the way. Played like spring football, and Logan did football when he was in high school throughout all four of his or all 4 years, and he was like a linebacker. So I kind of paid attention to excuse me, how football kind of works there. Like, all I knew is that you had to take the ball into the end zone to score a touchdown, and whoever has the most points wins. But I never really had any interest on actually getting into professional sports. I kind of just like watched it and was like, "Yep, that's it." But later on, I think once I started to like graduated high school and got into college, I was so sick. But I think it wasn't real until I graduated high school and got into college I started to kind of pay attention to college sports. I think it wasn't when I went to Mizzou for my first year that I really wanted to get into the nitty gritty of how sports were made, because I joined the marching band there, Marching Mizzou, and we had the privilege of going to all of the football games, the home games, and those were really really fun. But I never really paid attention to like how good our team was compared to like every other team, because Mizzou was obviously in the SEC, was historically known as like the most talented and elite conference in the history of college football. So I never really like paid attention to or considered that the notion of us being in this conference where we would expect us to win a lot of games every other year. But it wasn't until 2023, which was my first year at Mizzou, um, we played against, and if you have sort of paid attention to Mizzou's year in 2023, that magical season that they had, you know what I'm about to talk about. It is the week 3 game against Kansas State, where I think that was like one of the few times I was like actually invested in like a football game, because that game was just insanely back and forth, just back and forth, back and forth. And the environment was just awesome. It was a sold out crowd because of like the history between Mizzou and K State, going back to like all the way back to the Big 8 days. And it kind of was like a game that had a lot of pressure on Mizzou, because it could have maybe determined how our season, maybe the future of Mizzou football, would have been liked. And I still remember the last drive of the game. Mizzou went down the field, and Harrison Mevis scored that 61-yard field goal, and all the fans just came rushing onto the field. And I never saw that coming. That was just such an unreal experience. And then a week later, the band got to go to we went to St. Louis to play a neutral site game against Memphis Tigers in the dome. That was a fun game. It was obviously just a home game to sort of like show Mizzou football to the city of St. Louis, because I live outside the city, so I kind of know how much excuse me. But I am from St. Louis, so I know how much football pretty much means to that city, with like obviously the Battlehawks for the United Football League and all that stuff. But I didn't really pay attention to like other games that Mizzou play, like not like away games and such. But I knew that they were having a really good season given the history that they had. So um later on, I think it was a game against Tennessee in November, I think it was, that I really started to care how our season could go. Sorry, I was saying how much our season would go, but I just remember us blowing out Tennessee. Like, we had a pick six in that game. That was really fun. Then we had a crazy game against Florida at home. That was another Harrison Mevis legacy game. Obviously, the 4th and 17 play on that last drive Mizzou had, Brady Cook throwing it to Luther Burden III. Awesome moment. And again, Mevis kicking that 30-yard field goal was so good, so good. And then to cap it all off, we went to Arlington to play in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. That was probably one of sorry. And then, of course, the trip to Arlington to play in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State was an awesome experience. That was probably one of the highlights, maybe the best moment of my time at Mizzou so far. I got one more year left, because I never expected us to play such a juggernaut of a program like Ohio State in a stadium that's now one of my favorites in the entire country of the U.S. And just beating the Ohio State was such an awesome experience to cap off an incredible season. So during that off season, like in the winter, I started to look up some pretty popular college football games to see, excuse me, how insane that these games can be. And the first game that I looked up was the 2022 Peach Bowl between Georgia and Ohio State, that semifinal game where obviously Ohio State missed that field goal to give Georgia the win at midnight on New Year's Eve. Was, oh my God. Wow. And this is not an exaggeration whatsoever. That game was unreal, because that day was probably one of the greatest days I think we've ever seen in college football history, because that game and the semifinal at the Fiesta Bowl with TCU and Michigan, those two games being absolute shootouts. I think they both games combined almost scored 200 points, which is insane. That was just, it was unbelievable. And then it was just all gas and no brakes from there. I just was hooked from the very beginning. I just started watching college football videos like highlights, or I wanted to know like all about college football, like what team whatsoever. Or and after I watched that game, I wanted to know all about college football. It was all gas and no breaks for me. I just looked up highlights, um, replays of games, sort of just histories about some teams and all that stuff. And one of the videos that following summer that I watched was an iceberg video by why can't I think of his name? Hang on, let me check. Okay, okay, so I had to check who the iceberg video was about. It was by Squid Tart Sports. Shout out to him and his. Sorry. All right, so I just checked who that iceberg video was about, and it was by a YouTuber named Squid Tart Sports, which crazy name. Yeah, and his video about college football history and lore, because I love iceberg videos. They're one of my favorite. Sorry, I just checked who made that video. It was Squid Tart Sports, which by the way, awesome name, who made that iceberg video, because I love iceberg videos. They're one of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube. And I watched that video from start to finish, all the different parts he put out, and I think that was what really was the like defining moment that got me into college football, because it's just college football is unlike anything ever. And I know that it's going through a change with like NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff, but it's still, as he put it in the video, like near the end, it's still the same sport that unites all of those fans together to become friends. Because like these people are obviously strangers to each other, but just for one day, one Saturday, or almost every other Saturday, they're all friends because they're all rooting for the same team to, well, obviously win the game. And the passion, energy, and tradition that they all give out into the vibes of college sports is just, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And I think that is what just made me want to just talk about this stuff, because I love college football. I do. It's pretty much a drug that I absolutely cannot quit. And I want to share my love to it to everyone who checks out this channel, because I love to talk about it, really. And I might have said that again, but it's true. It really is. There's nothing quite like it. And I don't really know where I'd be had I not chosen to go to Mizzou, because I probably wouldn't be making this channel and talking about college sports, or maybe just college football, to all of you, because I really was not expecting me to be this attached to. Oh, sorry, Amber Alert. Sorry about that. The tornado sirens are going off, but it's okay. That's why I kind of wanted to make this channel, because I know I have so much potential to talk about um, this great sport that we all love. It's the greatest show on earth, is pretty much what it is. What it is. And I also kind of like the drama that it puts out. I'm not really that into like the more serious side. I like the part where we like to just make picks and make predictions, what if scenarios. I like that because it can spark so much discussion about the sport that is insane to really think about, because it's really just like an average sport to watch. And the fact that it's grown this sort of community of content creators who are now just pouring out videos to make their own thoughts and feelings on this sport and make their own predictions to share their love is unbelievable to see. And I want to join that I want to join the club too, is pretty much what I'm saying. I want to dip my toes into this and see where I can go from here. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into college sports. It was during my first year at Mizzou, that awesome season that Mizzou had that led to the Cotton Bowl victory against Ohio State. And then the offseason where I was just watching all of those videos of old college football games, like obviously the 2006 Rose Bowl, the Kick Six game in 2013 between Auburn and Alabama, all of those games. I literally would not stop watching it. I pretty much just like watched every other college football game you could think of. I guess pretty much at the start of the 21st century. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got out of it. It's awesome. I literally think about it almost every other day. I still go back to them because they are that entertaining. And honestly, I want to share my own opinions on that. So if you enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to really get this channel going, and we can just see where we can go from here. And hopefully my next video will be my top 25 video. I have it set out. I just need to add like a few finishing touches, and I need to edit it, of course. So yes, keep an eye on that, and hope to see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.